Welcome back to my channel. It is Candace with the K here, where I normally talk books, beauty, and kicks. It's been a minute, but I'm about to give you my April month rundown of all the books that I've read. If you are interested in hearing about the 5 books I read in the month of April, please keep watching. Now, it might be some months where I'm slower on YouTube, and that means that you just need to follow my Bookstagram page if you're interested in learning or knowing about the books that I'm reading, and that is on Candace with the K Reads. I normally post something to tell you what I'm reading at the moment. And so the first book that I've finished in the month of April is Someday Maybe. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're sad, if you are going through any type of grief, don't pick up this book. Okay, this book is very heavy. This book is very deep, and it is because the main character in the book has just lost her husband to him unaliving himself, and she's trying to kind of work through putting herself back together. So you go through every single emotion with the main character. You go from anger to happiness to sadness to triumph, and it's just a lot that takes place. One thing that I really liked about the book was its rawness. Like, the book is super raw. It's a great story. And I think it will connect to many people who are just grieving, and it's just a lot. It's very heavy. So if you're not ready to really get into it, don't do it. But I think it's very well written, and I think the story keeps you picking it up for sure. So if I was to rate Someday Maybe, I would give that book about a 3.5, maybe even a 4. It was just so heavy for me. I am an Ashley and Jaquavis a fan through and through. I get all of their books anytime they drop. And so this month I was able to read Money Devils 1, which is another spinoff of the Cartel series, except for it focuses on like the Haitian side of folks. One thing about their books that I really can't stand is that they leave you wanting more. And so they have perfected the cliffhanger for sure. And it is why they have so many books. They've got the cliffhanger to a T. So in this one specifically, if you remember, Carter got into it with the Haitians. And so he's talking about one of the Haitian brothers. He ended up moving out west, and they run, or not, well, yeah, I guess kind of West Texas. They end up running scams kind of to, in my mind, it was like Olivia Pope, the situation. So they would run these scams and then end up being your PR cleanup, which I think is genius. Because you kind of clean the dirty money as you're doing it. The dirt, not the dirty money, but the dirt as you're doing it. But in this one, it's a group of sisters, and they all got some issues. And so the main oldest sister, rather, ends up falling in love with one of their scams. And so we all know how that goes. So I'm very excited for the second installment in this series. I don't know when it's coming. I think it's 2024, which is crazy. But nonetheless, Money Devils was a good one. I would give it... I don't really rate these books very high because they serve a particular purpose. But I would still give it like a 3, 3.5. One of my May hopefuls is this book, also by just Jaquavis. It is The Cartel Queen, which is Aries Manifesto, which of course is another spinoff of the Cartel series. I'm hoping to get to this one this month. I kind of started it, but not really. So, and what's really cool is that it's signed. So I'm happy about that. Oh, another book that I read this month was Zora Books Are Happy Ever After. This was an advanced copy that was sent to me this month that I was able to get into. If you like romance, like along the lines of a Jasmine Guillory, you will enjoy this one. This book in particular is, you have Zora. She ends up dating two best friends and she's trying to decide whom to pick out of the two best friends. I think this one was just a very cute, easy read. She owns a bookstore, which I always like reading about bookstore owners and books, because as I'm reading this book, I don't know, it's like being launched into a different dimension there. I think there's certain parts of this book that I wanted to be better, or even the outcome to be a little different, that doesn't happen, but that's okay, because these are Taj's words. I would rate this book at like a 3.5 stars, because like I said, I think it served its purpose of just being a feel-good, easy read to enjoy, consume it. And hopefully there is a sequel to kind of tell us what happens next. This month, I also read Jackal, which this one was very popular amongst bookstagrammers. I saw this cover everywhere. For the most part, I heard good things about this book. And while I didn't dislike it, I also didn't like it. I think there were great points to be made in this book. It's a meta narrative of Black women going missing, Black girls going missing, the lack of attention, the fact that Black women have to be exceptional and our exception is a threat to society. And I think the elements are there for a really, really great book. But it lost me in the last few pages, and it was kind of because it went down this road that I didn't anticipate. And so maybe if I knew more about the book going into it, I would have been better prepared for that. But nonetheless, I think there are some really great nuggets in this book that offer good conversation for social commentary. I think this book could, and as I was reading it, I felt that this book could be utilized as a high school text to analyze and really dig deep into some of the historical pieces that were brought up, such as the flooding of the town and how, these mass massacres of Black people have happened in our nation's history, and kind of just dissecting that. I think that would be very captivating and rich if it were to take place into a school curriculum, but it lost me in like the last 50 or so pages. So, if I were to rate Jackal would get like a 3.5. And lastly, I have ended the month off reading The Secret Summer Promise. And this is a youth YA novel, young adult novel, that follows a girl who is not only Black, she's disabled, and she's trying to better understand her queerness, and where she kind of falls on the sexuality spectrum. But the problem, rather, is that she's in love with her best friend. And for me, I don't know if the character really is in love with her best friend or if she has love for her best friend. I think that's where it kind of blurs. And that's just my reader interpretation of it. Because I feel like you can love your best friend in the same ways and not want to be with them sexually. But the author is trying to make me feel as though she wants to be with her sexually. And I just don't know if that's true. And it has to be true because that's how the author is trying to portray it, I guess. But they're young. So maybe for me, with that understanding of knowing that they're like in high school, my first mind isn't to think of sexual. And so that's maybe where my own bias is messing up my reading of this one. Nonetheless, I think it's a good, easy going young adult novel. It doesn't really go anywhere. But that's okay, because does a book always have to do all the things, right? So I was able to squeeze in all these books in this month, even though I had so much going on, I'm trying to make sure I hit my reading goal this year of 40 books, which is a lot, but I'm trying to make it happen. And so I'm glad I was able to do so. Like I said, you need to go ahead and follow Candace with the K Reads on Instagram. That is really where I post all of my reads. That's how I engage with the book community. And there's so many books that I have in the pipeline. My TBR is out of this world. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.